Welcome to this special edition of Cronkite News. I'm Amber Kawaji. Thanks for joining us. Our Cronkite News reporters work in teams to cover specific issues important to all Arizonans. Those beats range from borderlands to business, from education to technology. Tonight, we highlight stories from the legal team, reports on government affairs, legislation, law enforcement, and the people working to make our communities safer.
Arizona Governor Doug Ducey was joined by fire officials from across the state today to speak about the future of this unpredictable wildfire season in Arizona. Cronkite News reporter Jesse Schultz was at the briefing.
It was clear a couple more months of hot and dry weather is all it could take for Arizona's wildfire season to be one of the worst we've had in years.
We're going to hope for the best, but we're going to plan for the worst.
That is the plan going forward in what fire officials are calling an unpredictable and threatening wildfire season. At the Capitol today, the governor and fire officials from across the state offered some predictions about what this season has in store. In fact, Ducey says it's already begun.
Already in the first quarter of this year, we've had 293 wildfires, charring over 21,383 acres of Arizona. To put that in perspective, by this point last year, Arizona had experienced 147 fires, burning 453 acres.
And this year, the fires are different.
They're bigger and they're harder to suppress.
State Forester Jeff Whitney is concerned that this fire season will be similar to 2002 and 2011, the year of the destructive Wallow Fire.
So we're concerned because of the moisture we received last year, we've got more fuel out on the landscape.
While officials accept that wildfires come along with Arizona landscape, they are more concerned with our mistakes.
90% of our wildfires, if not more, are started by human beings.
Unattended campfires, discarded cigarettes, hot exhaust pipes.
But officials say they are prepared for whatever comes their way.
Well, we think that we are in a very good condition at this point to respond to the fire season.
Yeah, we're ready. Yeah, we've been ready since middle of February.
Governor Ducey encouraged Arizonans to still go outside and enjoy the weather with activities like biking, camping, and hiking, but to be cautious and to use common sense. In Phoenix, Jesse Schultz, Cronkite News.
A school shooting, a gang arrest, and hostage situations are all scenarios our reporter Julia Thatcher endured during virtual reality police training. And now an effort is underway to make sure all officers in Arizona do the same.
Okay, what do you mean? I know in Oracle, where Gabriel Goodford was.
I was going as fast as I could. It's a few miles, couldn't tell you exactly how many miles, but it seemed like forever.
Ryan Inglet says he was prepared to arrive on scene January 8th, 2011, in part because he had gone through virtual reality training.
This isn't just training for shoot or don't shoot. This is training for all uses of force to include no use of force.
Now, an effort is underway at the state legislature to fund virtual reality training for all officers in Arizona.
Let her go. Do it now. Let her go.
Tempe-based Virtra created more than 100 virtual scenarios for people like police officers or members of the military, hoping to create a high-stress environment similar to what they'll face in the field.
Officers need to be held at a higher standard. We expect that, but we also need to provide them the tools to hold them at those higher standards.
During a simulation, if an officer is shot, it triggers an electronic impulse device. For me, they put it on a civilian level, but for an officer, it can be crippling. It teaches them how to work through the pain.
And with the number of controversial police shootings on the rise, some argue the time for funding is now.
During the course of the year, they get very little training. And keeping up those skills and new technologies are very, very helpful. So that's why I think it's now.
When I went through the virtual reality training, they tried to make it as real for me as it is for the officers, even taking the time to break down my split-second decision-making to give me a better understanding of having to justify my actions.
How would you like it if a police officer showed up and didn't even know anything about you
and
started just pointing a taser straight at you? That would be kind of weird.
Even in those virtual reality situations, you still elevate. You know, your adrenaline still gets going.
Providing training statewide comes at a price, up to $6 million. But at the end of the day, supporters say it's worth it to protect the public and those who serve it.
I get up and I do the job that I love, and that's what most cops do.
In Phoenix, Julia Thatcher, Cronkite News.
Supporters will find out about legislative funding within the next few weeks. If passed, we're told Arizona will be the first state to require the training.
While we aren't likely to experience tornadoes or major earthquakes here in Arizona, it's still crucial to know how to respond in case of a disaster.
Cronkite News reporter Ben Marjat found out how the Glendale Fire Department is preparing the next generation for such a disaster and potentially helping them find their career path.
Help! I need some help!
In case of an emergency, dial Landmark Middle School. After today's disaster training, it might not be a bad idea.
I learned how to spider web someone and how to take out someone and find someone in the dark. How to stop bleeding, how to stop fires.
Today was the last day of the school's public safety career camp. And after 21 hours of classroom training, students finally got to put their skills to the test with real-life disaster scenarios.
Before we used to do it at with the dolls and stuff, but today we actually got to experience how to actually do it on people.
While Glendale Fire usually teaches the program to adults, the department's public education manager says there's something unique about teaching students.
They act. You teach them something, they act. Adults, they think about it and then they wonder if they're doing it wrong. Where kids, they just do it.
If I'm on a crew and I have this injury, I'm having one person hold the leg and this is their only job.
The program even helped some solidify a potential career path.
I actually do want to be a firefighter. It seems really fun and you get to help people every day.
And help others decide maybe not.
It goes both ways. Yes, I've learned a lot and I want to go into this career, or I realize the minute I saw blood, there's no way I could do this job and this isn't the career for me and I need to choose something different.
Around 30 students participated in the drills today.
To learn more about the community emergency response training or to enroll in a class, head to the Glendale Fire Department's website.
The Phoenix Fire Department gave 2 Walmart employees the Citizen Life-Saving Award after performing CPR when they saw their co-worker in need.
Cronkite News reporter Lauren Michaels talked to those employees to find out what happened.
It all happened here at this Walmart off 38th Street and Thomas Road in Phoenix. Both co-workers awarded today say they didn't think twice about trying to save a life. Brent Anderson and Kathy Villa were honored today by the Phoenix Fire Department for jumping into action by performing CPR on a coworker. Back in February, Anderson found his coworker on the floor in this back hallway, suffering from a heart attack. Without any formal CPR training, Anderson jumped in to help.
I started getting compressions to get something going. Then I would braid his mouth, but they were on 911 and she was trying to work me through it, make sure I tilt his head back, breathe 3 times.
Moments later, he was joined by Villa, who is CPR certified and felt comfortable taking over until firefighters arrived.
I didn't even think, it's just a reaction. I jumped down and propped his neck up and started giving compressions.
The coworker who had the heart attack survived and is doing well. And today, Phoenix Fire Engine 11, who was there on scene in response to the 911 call, awarded the 2 Walmart employees for their life-saving efforts.
Letting us know that, we were one of the major parts in that is, I don't even know how to explain that feeling right now.
With more than 450 employees at this location, these 2 heroes said they'd do it again if another coworker needed help.
It's an extended family, you gotta take care of them.
Honestly, I would jump in and do it for any one of them.
The Phoenix Department's PIO did say that the brain can go 4 to 6 minutes without oxygen before you have damage. By these employees doing CPR, they were able to keep his heart pumping until firefighters arrived. In Phoenix, Lauren Michaels, Cronkite News.
We begin tonight with a joint initiative with the Corporation for Public Broadcasting to address veterans issues in our state. Last year, no state had a higher increase in veteran homelessness than Arizona. That's according to the U.S. Department of Housing and Development's annual report.
But as Cronkite News reporter Ben Marjat learned, local organizations say that the estimate isn't very accurate, that veteran homelessness has actually decreased in recent years.
Retired Marine Roy Knuckles spent the better part of the last decade in and out of homelessness.
There for a while, 6 years, I chased hurricanes and tornadoes, and wherever I found a disaster, I found work.
He eventually made his way to Phoenix and now lives here in Victory Place, a community specifically for veterans near 7th Street and Broadway.
It changes my thought process. I don't have to worry about getting jumped if I'm on the streets or getting in with the wrong people.
Many other combat veterans have yet to find that same security. HUD's 2015 report said Arizona was the state which had the highest increase in veteran homelessness from 2014 to 2015. While that number fluctuates year to year, HUD's Phoenix field director said the rate has been increasing steadily since 2005.
It's the economy. It's when the military stands down on any kind of war. It's delayed PTSD, it's substance abuse.
The Arizona Coalition to End Homelessness, which does its own estimates of the homeless veteran population, said what they're seeing disputes that trend.
We as a community have decreased the numbers of veterans experiencing homelessness in our state significantly over the past 10 years.
Regardless of how many homeless vets there are, there might not even be enough space to house them. A new building with 96 units at Victory Place filled up in just 2 months.
It runs 95% occupied at all times. The demonstrable need for affordable housing for homeless, at-risk, and low-income veterans is quite large.
Now, there is some space for expansion just west of the facility, but any new phase would take at least a couple of years. In Phoenix, Ben Marjot, Cronkite News.
New legislation will phase out dog racing at Arizona's last dog track in Tucson by December 31st of this year. Cronkite News reporter Lauren Ashley traveled to Tucson to learn more about what's being called a win-win-win situation for everyone.
It's taken all of this time for us to find a clear path so that Tucson Greyhound Park is helped, the dogs are helped, and the taxpayers are helped.
Arizona House Bill 2127 would end dog racing by December 31st, 2016. Another House Bill 2387 would remove the tax credits that have been given to Tucson Greyhound Park for more than 20 years. But the park won't shut down just yet. Tucson Greyhound would be allowed to collect money from offering televised horse racing for 2 years, no more than $500,000 a year. Grade 2K USA, an organization that protects greyhounds, and owners of Tucson Greyhound Park both support the bill. The owners didn't want to go on camera.
Since 1995, there's been a 70% decline in gambling on greyhound racing. So while the track is looking to save dollars, we're looking to save dogs.
Susan Villa adopted her first rescued greyhound from Tucson Greyhound Park in 1998.
I've adopted 8 greyhounds over the years, and I've lost them prematurely to injuries that they suffered and at the track, and 2 of my females have had serious problems resulting from steroids. So I know that their life has been shortened because they've raced.
It's a win-win-win situation. Not only will Tucson Greyhound Park be allowed to streamline its business, it will offer betting on races taking place around the country.
Speak, supporting and promoting ethics for the animal kingdom, worked with Grade 2K USA, pushing to end dog racing in Arizona. Gary Vela still considers it abusive and exploitive to animals.
If they're placing bets, even if it's an off-track betting site or at Tucson Greyhound Park after they stop the live dog racing, they're still supporting animal abuse.
There are 6 states with operational dog tracks. If the law passes, Arizona will become the 40th state to prohibit dog racing. In Tucson, Lauren Ashley, Cronkite News.
HB 2127 is waiting for a hearing from the Senate Rules Committee before heading to the House.
The Capitol lawn was full of people calling for change for uninsured Arizona children today, asking Governor Doug Ducey to lift a freeze on kids' care.
Reporter Sydney Glenn spoke to supporters who are hoping their voices will be heard.
An Arizona health insurance program called Kids Care is being questioned today. The program is designed for low-income children under the age of 18. The program stopped accepting new applications 6 years ago. Some parents came out to the Capitol lawn this morning to call on lawmakers and the governor to lift a temporary freeze on kids' care, hoping their stories of their families struggling will have an impact.
One of the things that we've had to give up have been
everything. We don't go anywhere. We don't take vacations. We don't take road trips. We don't take day trips.
According to the Children's Action Alliance, Arizona is the only state in the country that does not have a children's health insurance program.
Yeah, none. We are alone in this. Every other state in the country has their version of kids care.
Arizona children under the age of 18 that are under the income limit and are not eligible to receive Medicaid coverage may qualify for this program if lawmakers lift the freeze. Michelle Wolfson and her family understand the struggle firsthand, finding out her 15-year-old daughter with special needs was no longer covered.
I had a bit of a shock on April 1st to find out that my youngest daughter no longer is covered under Access.
And when she found out?
At the time I was recovering from breast reconstruction surgery. I was diagnosed with breast cancer last year, so this is like the worst possible time to find out there's insurance problems is when you're down yourself and recovering from surgery.
Arizona is eligible for 100% federal funding, but when the bill hit the Senate, one lawmaker was not on board.
Supposedly, many of these kids should have been taken care of under Obamacare, but they're not because Obamacare's been an utter failure. And then some of these children may be eligible under normal access or Medicaid.
Advocates are hoping the bill will be passed in the Senate and turned over to Governor Doug Ducey to be signed into law. In Phoenix, Sydney Glenn, Cronkite News.
Governor Doug Ducey is proclaiming April as Child Abuse Prevention Month. The Arizona Child Abuse Hotline received more than 135,000 calls just last year. Cronkite News reporter Sydney Schofield learned more about one Arizona program that is looking to give a voice to those children.
It gives children in foster care a chance to have a bright future.
20 new court-appointed special advocates, or CASAs, were sworn in this weekend. These volunteers act as advocates for children in foster care.
Their case manager could change, their GAL could change, their social worker could change, but you're the only adult that stays with them throughout the whole process.
Providing some consistency in their lives, CASAs spend time with them each month and write reports that go directly to a judge.
CASAs are the eyes and the ears of the judge. They don't have a horse per se in the race.
As they have a more objective voice, CASAs are able to advocate solely for the child, ignoring other interests that are sometimes involved in child abuse cases.
We work tirelessly to help them find that forever safe home that they're entitled to, where they can thrive and break the cycle of abuse.
There are around 1,000 CASAs in Arizona, but with more than 18,000 of Arizona's kids in foster care, the program is actively looking for more volunteers.
There's so much need out there, and there's so many children that are without a true voice for their own needs and their own circumstance.
It's a wonderful way to make a difference, to invest in the future, because children are our most important natural resource.
And these new CASAs are ready to take on that challenge. In Phoenix, Sydney Schofield, Cronkite News.
New data gathered for AT&T's It Can Wait campaign offers insight into whether having a statewide ban on texting and driving curbs the risky behavior. Arizona does not have such a ban, and Cronkite News reporter Anthony Marroquin explains the impact.
It's something we see every day.
I can say by far that I-10 is probably one of the worst.
Especially in Arizona, which does not have a statewide ban on texting while driving.
Life's short as it is. So, I mean, when you're on the road, you just want to be as cautious as you possibly can.
New data from a major cell phone company shows that drivers may disregard the dangers in states where there are no restrictions.
It's kind of like, okay, I'm at danger, they're at danger, you know, something's going to go wrong at some point.
Multiple reports from sources like Car and Driver magazine have shown that texting and driving is actually more dangerous than driving drunk. And yet it's a big problem across the country, especially in states like Arizona, where there are no texting and driving bans. A recent AT&T study showed that drivers in states without a texting and driving ban text and drive at least 17% times more than drivers in states with one. Arizona is just one of 4 states, including Missouri, Montana, and Texas, that rely on cities to set their own texting and driving rules. Still, some question the need for any regulations.
I don't think it should be the sole cause if you're able to stay in your lane and keep your eyes on the road, because now you also have the voice to text, and you have Bluetooth in cars, you change the radio. You're not looking at the road all the time.
Nevertheless, the best thing to do is to keep your eyes on the road.
Unless something's so urgent, I mean, make a phone call. You don't need to be texting and causing, you know, someone else to risk their life.
In Phoenix, I'm Anthony Marroquin, Cronkite News.
The internet is essential for students. It's estimated 75% of teachers assign some homework that requires internet access, but not everyone has access at home. Cronkite News reporter Amanda Kukula shows us what action is being taken today to set students up for success.
The Secretary of the U.S. Housing and Urban Development was in Phoenix today, announcing a partnership of how low-income families can get connected.
I feel like I left out, because I see like other students or my schoolmates over there at school having internet and everything, and I'm over here like, oh, well, one day I'll have it too, but I guess today's the day, so I'm very excited.
The excitement comes with a visit from U.S. Housing and Urban Development Secretary Julian Castro. Castro and Cox Communications President Pat Esser announced the expansion of the program Connect Home.
Today, with this announcement by Cox, we're going to be able to reach overall about 430,000 children who are low income in the United States.
A program that was once only available to schools is now available to families with grade school children in HUD communities by providing low-cost internet access.
Kids don't have access to the internet at home, they start to fall behind at school because so many teachers today are assigning work over the internet, students do their research over the internet, and if you don't have that access at home, you really are put behind the 8 ball.
Miguel Duarte, a sophomore at North High School, would head to campus early in the mornings to finish his homework or make time to go to a public library to connect to the internet.
Now, since I'm gonna have it, I'm gonna be able to access it and have better grades, keep up with my work, and show everybody that, that I can be able to do as everybody else too.
And as for his mother, Elva, she's looking to the future.
We're happy, very happy for him because he's the one, the more he used the internet for school. He needs it for school, for the homework. He wants to work now, so he's going to be able to apply online. So I'm very happy for him and for myself too.
As for Miguel and Elva, they are receiving their installation tomorrow, just in time for Miguel to start studying for those finals. And families who are on the free federal lunch program can qualify for the reduced cost of $10 a month. Live at the digital desk, Amanda Kukula, Cronkite News.
Veterans behind bars of Towers Jail are reuniting with man's best friend. James Ulrich reports on how a new MASH unit program is benefiting both inmates and foster pets.
MASH is a shelter for abused animals rescued by the Animal Crimes Investigations Unit. They bring neglected canines to the veteran pods in the jail to interact with inmates dealing with PTSD. In turn, the dogs learn to cope with humans so that they one day can be adopted.
It's over there. What is that?
From veteran to inmate, Bill McGowan's road has not been easy.
I just had a bunch of things go wrong in the same year, and I ended up homeless. I lost my home, and when I ended up homeless, I ended up using drugs, and drugs is why I'm here.
The former meth user developed PTSD during a service in the 1990s. This new program introduces canines to veteran inmates to help with stress, something Maricopa County Sheriff Joe Arpaio says is a mutual benefit.
These dogs have been abused, so it's a two-way street here. You can't ask for anything more than that.
Before this program, only female inmates had contact with the dogs as they care for them daily. Now, Wednesdays just got a whole lot better for the veteran inmates.
Every Wednesday we know they're coming. I wish it was every day, but for now it's only Wednesdays. I mean, I've even offered to work taking care of them. I love dogs. I've always had dogs in my life.
The lifelong dog owner deals with anger stemming from PTSD, but the four-legged cuddle buddies help ease that.
It brings you a little piece of reality being stuck in here. I have ADD and PTSD. The dog helps me calm down, helps me be able to cope with what I'm going through right now.
From pit bulls to Labradors, these dogs will be shuttled weekly to help these inmates, as the inmates help the dogs learn to trust humans again. In Phoenix, I'm James Ulrich, Cronkite News.
Picking up after your pooch just got a lot more serious for one Tempe apartment complex. Cronkite News reporter Ben Marjat went there to find out the dirty details.
Here at this apartment complex in Tempe, you're not likely to find any dog poop in the grass. That's because the apartment complex can charge residents $250 if they find out you were responsible.
I think it's a great idea because it keeps everyone accountable.
Before Nicole Spector moved into residences at Fountainhead, she had to sign a lease. Her dog, Stanley, he had to submit to a DNA test.
Everybody actually thinks it's pretty funny when the first time they hear about it, because they think that's a pretty crazy idea.
The idea is simple. Obtain DNA from dogs that are moving into the building, and if their owner doesn't do their duty and pick up after them, they mail the poop to a company called Poo Prints that will test the sample and find the culprit.
It's funny, the technology's been around for years. I don't know why nobody uses it.
The complex covers the cost of the initial DNA test, a quick swab of the dog's cheek, but the resident pays that $250 fee if found guilty.
I think just knowing that you can get caught will stop a lot of people and make sure that, they keep their community clean.
Everybody says it's never them that leaves the mess, and now they can really prove that and say that it's not me. And it just makes for a clean, nice, pretty community.
Now, the property manager told me that in the year that this place has been open, he's only had to find one person, and understandably, that person was not very happy. Here in Tempe, Ben Marjat, Cronkite News.
There's over 1,500 communities nationwide that now use the company Poo Prints, and some of those properties have reported a 95% reduction in pet waste.
That's it for this special edition of Cronkite News tonight. For top Arizona stories anytime, go to cronkitenews.azpbs.org.
We are here tonight to explore tough issues.
You've got to have people around you who aren't just laying rose petals in front of your way.
And I kid you not, this is true.
Trust is everything.
This has been so much fun.
It's about reaching people.
There are more players on the world stage. The issues are more complex. We ask the questions that take us closer to the truth.
What happened and what might happen.
Because that's what we do.
Would you like doing something like I do?
I couldn't do this. I'm not qualified.
I was thinking exactly the same thing.